The Adventures of Teddy Bear, An Unforgettable Journey Across the World. Once upon a time, there was a teddy bear named Teddy. He was soft and cuddly, with big shiny eyes and an eternal smile. Teddy lived in the bedroom of a little girl named Sophie, who loved him deeply. One fine day, Nunuz woke up with an irresistible desire to travel. He wanted to discover the world and meet other toys. He talked about it to Sophie, who, although a little sad to see her friend leave, understood that it was time for Nunuz to explore what the world had to offer. So, Nunuz embarked on his journey. His first stop was Paris, the city of lovers. He met an elegant French doll and a talking robot there. Together, they visited the Eiffel Tower and got lost in the cobblestone alleys lined with bakeries. From Paris, Nunuz went to London, the Queen's city. He sailed on the Thames with a wooden boat and made friends with a steam train straight out of a storybook. They visited Buckingham Palace and had fun drinking tea with delicious biscuits. After leaving London, Teddy Bear arrived in New York, the city that never sleeps. There, he met a Barbie doll and a metal airplane that flew high in the sky. They explored Central Park and enjoyed some hot dogs on the way to Times Square. Nunuz's next stop was Mexico, a country filled with vibrant colors and spicy flavors. There, he met a festive piñata and a cheerful sombrero. They danced to the sound of mariachi music and tasted tacos and enchiladas. From there, Nunuz went to Machu Picchu, a mystical city in the mountains of Peru. He met a plush llama and an Inca doll who told him fascinating stories about the ancient history of the country. Together, they climbed the ancestral steps and admired the beauty of the citadel. After leaving Machu Picchu, Nunuz arrived in Sydney, a city full of exotic animals. He met a stuffed kangaroo and an adorable koala there. They strolled along the Sydney Opera House and played on the golden beaches. Teddy Bear's next stop was Tokyo, a lively and cutting-edge city. There, he met a humanoid robot and a plastic samurai. They visited Tsukiji Fish Market and were fascinated by the sparkling lights of the skyscrapers. Teddy Bear's last stop was Beijing, China, a city rich in history and traditions. There, he met a porcelain doll and a plush dragon. Together, they visited the Great Wall of China and discovered the ancient art of tea. After all these adventures, Nunuz decided it was time to go back home to Paris. He was tired, but happy to have made new friends and discovered so many wonders around the world. Sophie welcomed him with open arms, and Nunuz promised to tell her all his stories. And so, Nunuz lived happily with Sophie, knowing that he was lucky to have taken the journey of his life and to have met such incredible toys. Every day, Nunuz remembered his adventure and knew that he would forever be the bravest and most curious teddy bear in the whole wide world. The Dreaming Penguins and the Magical Northern Lights. Once upon a time, in the heart of Antarctica, there was a colony of dreamy little penguins. Their habitat, a frozen island nestled in the middle of a crystalline sea, offered them a marvelous spectacle every night. Dancing northern lights in the starry sky. The little penguins were captivated by these colorful lights and dreamed of being able to admire them up close. One fine morning, the penguins gathered to discuss their idea of exploring the world beyond their small island. They were searching for a way to reach the northern regions of Earth, where they could finally observe the aurora borealis. After much deliberation, they agreed to embark on a grand adventure. The little penguins gathered their supplies, their woolen scarves, and their hats in anticipation of the polar cold that awaited them. They walked day and night, braving the snowstorms and encouraging each other. Guided by their dream and a map drawn in blue ink, they set out on the road to the north. After a long journey, they finally reached the Nordic coasts. The landscape had drastically changed. The snow-covered mountains gave way to dense and verdant forests. The little penguins were amazed by so many new discoveries. However, their quest was far from over. The penguins started climbing the steep mountains, following the tracks left by the previous explorers. Their little feet often slipped on the frozen rock, but they persevered, fueled by their love for the aurora borealis. At the top of the highest mountain, the penguins took a break and looked at the sky. No aurora borealis was yet visible on the horizon, but it didn't discourage the brave little penguins. They knew that their determination would be rewarded. And finally, on a starry night, the little penguins saw their dream come true. The northern lights appeared in the sky, illuminating the night with their magical colors. The penguins lay down on the ground, their heads tilted back, amazed by this enchanting spectacle. The northern lights danced before their amazed eyes, creating incredible shapes and patterns. The penguins felt as if they were transported to another world, enchanted by the beauty of these magical lights. After absorbing these magical moments, the little penguins resumed their journey towards their icy island. They were fulfilled with having realized their dream, being able to observe the aurora borealis up close. Upon returning home, the penguins shared their experiences with the other members of the colony. They then realized that sometimes dreams were much more wonderful when shared with loved ones. Since then, every year, the penguins gather to contemplate the northern lights together, thus celebrating their friendship and the power of dreams. The northern lights had become much more than a mere spectacle for these penguins. They had become a symbol of courage, friendship, and perseverance, and they lived happily on their small frozen island, mesmerized by their dreams and the magic of the northern lights.
Luna and the Secret Rainbow Valley, a magical journey towards self-discovery. In the kingdom of dreams, in a magical landscape filled with soft and fluffy clouds, lived a beautiful white unicorn called Luna. With her silver mane and sparkling eyes, she was one of the most majestic creatures that inhabited this enchanted world. One morning, as Luna was strolling through the enchanted forest, she felt a mysterious energy flowing through her silver mane. Curious, she approached a glistening pond and discovered a small bottle floating on the surface of the water. Intrigued, she took the bottle out of the water and found a rolled-up message inside. Delicately, Luna untied the message and read with astonishment. "Dear Luna, follow the hidden clues in your silver mane. They will lead you to a secret valley where rainbows are born every morning." Luna was thrilled by this enchanted riddle and began carefully examining each of her silver strands in search of the mysterious clues. After long efforts, Luna finally discovered the first clue hidden at the end of one of her strands of hair. It read, "The magic forest is your first stop. Seek the tree of wishes to continue your journey." Luna thus set out in search of the tree of wishes, hoping that it would guide her towards the secret valley. After a long search, Luna finally found a majestic tree with intertwined branches, shining with a magical glow. She placed her delicate paw on the bark, and suddenly the tree seemed to come alive. A gentle and melodic voice echoed in her head, indicating the second clue. "Beyond the blue mountains, seek the lake with golden reflections." Intrigued and excited, Luna took flight and headed towards the mountains. After a long journey between the steep peaks, she finally discovered the famous lake with golden reflections. When she cast her gaze into the crystal-clear waters, a dazzling light revealed itself, forming a vibrant rainbow of shimmering colors. Luna then realized she was on the right path. She followed the third clue, which asked her to search for the mystical flowers in the enchanted valley. Guided by her instinct, Luna landed in a lush meadow where the flowers sparkled like precious jewels. Each flower had a unique color and magical property. Luna knew she had to carefully choose the flower that corresponded to the following riddle. After numerous attempts, she eventually found the golden flower with 5 petals, symbolizing the fourth clue. At the top of the singing waterfall, you will find the key to the mystery. Guided by the golden flower, Luna finally arrived at the top of the singing waterfall. There, a small golden key was resting on a sparkling stone. Luna understood that she had solved the mystery and that the key would open the doors to the secret Rainbow Valley. With a graceful gesture, Luna took the key and descended from the waterfall. In front of her, a marvelous valley opened up where rainbows were born every morning. The bright and shimmering colors filled the air with a magical and bewitching atmosphere. Luna was dazzled by the beauty of the valley and felt a deep gratitude for having followed the mysterious clues to this unique place. She then understood that every detail of this adventure was a true lesson on the power of perseverance, curiosity, and self-confidence. From that day on, Luna became the guardian of the secret Rainbow Valley. Every morning, she bathed in the magical colors and spread joy and beauty to every corner of the Dream Kingdom. The children who crossed Luna's path benefited from the radiant aura she emitted, and through her story, they understood that magic was everywhere. They just had to seek it with their hearts. Marcel the Curious Sheep, An Unforgettable Adventure in China. Marcel the Curious Sheep lived on a small countryside farm, surrounded by his animal friends. One day, while he was strolling through the lush meadows, he spotted a colorful hot air balloon floating in the sky like a giant rainbow. Intrigued, Marcel decided to follow it and embarked on the adventure of his life. The hot air balloon soared higher and higher, carrying Marcel towards unknown lands. The wind blew gently, as if it wanted to show Marcel the path to follow. Eventually, after a long journey, they landed in China, a country full of mysteries and wonders. That's where Marcel met May, a mischievous little panda with sparkling eyes full of curiosity. May was fascinated by Marcel, a flying sheep, and Marcel was amazed by the beauty and gentleness of May. They became instant friends and decided to explore the Great Wall of China together. The Great Wall was enormous and majestic, stretching as far as the eye could see. Marcel marveled at this gigantic structure, while May, who had grown up near the wall, told him exciting stories about its history and defenses. They walked along the wall, discovering its watchtowers and breathtaking landscapes. But the adventure didn't stop there. May invited Marcel to visit a cherry blossom garden. Marcel had never seen so many flowers in his life. The cherry trees were in full bloom, turning the garden into an ocean of pink and white petals. Marcel started to dance under the trees, swirling the petals around him, while May watched him with a mischievous smile. After having a great time in the garden, Marcel and May set out to explore the countryside of China. They met farmers who showed them how to cultivate rice, artisans who showed them how to make porcelain, and monks who showed them how to meditate. But what Marcel loved the most was when May taught him the art of gentle kung fu. May showed him how to move with grace and serenity, using inner strength rather than brute force. Marcel was impressed by May's mastery and tried to imitate her movements, although it wasn't very easy for a little sheep. Finally, the day came when Marcel had to return home. He was sad to leave May and China, but he carried with him incredible memories and a precious friendship. May told him that they would see each other again someday and promised to send him letters filled with surprises. Back on his farm, Marcel shared his adventures with his animal friends. They were all amazed to hear about a hot air balloon in China. Marcel realized how lucky he was to have lived such an extraordinary adventure. The days passed, and Marcel regularly received letters from May, telling him the news from China and sending him small gifts. Marcel smiled as he read these letters, recalling all the fantastic moments he had lived with his friend May. And every evening, before falling asleep, Marcel would gaze at the stars and wonder when he would be able to see May again and experience new adventures together. He knew that, thanks to their friendship, nothing was impossible. And so, Marcel the Curious Sheep would fall asleep with the dream of flying once again to new lands, always ready for extraordinary new adventures. Leah the Giraffe, World Explorer, an incredible adventure across Asia. Once upon a time, there was an adorable giraffe named Leah who lived in a large forest. Naturally curious, Leah loved going on adventures to discover new horizons. One day, while she was walking peacefully, she encountered a little owl named Oscar. The two friends decided to set off together to explore distant lands. Their first destination was Asia, a mysterious and fascinating continent. They began their journey in China, a country filled with ancient traditions. Leah and Oscar were amazed by the Great Wall, a magnificent construction that stretched as far as the eye could see. They then traveled to Japan, where they visited splendid temples and admired the cherry blossoms. Thailand was their next stop, where they discovered the magnificent temples of Bangkok and indulged in spicy dishes with exotic flavors. Then, Leah and Oscar traveled to India, the country of 1,000 colors. They attended a holy festival where they were sprinkled with colorful powder and danced to the sounds of traditional music. The journey continued in Vietnam, where they were dazzled by the terraced rice fields and captivated by the beauty of Halong Bay. Then, Leah and Oscar traveled to Malaysia, where they were amazed by the diversity of cultures and the richness of nature. They had the chance to observe orangutans in the rainforest. The next destination was Cambodia, where they were fascinated by the majestic temples of Angkor Wat. They continued their journey in Burma, where they discovered splendid golden pagodas as far as the eye could see. The two friends then went to Nepal, where they climbed Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. Then, Leah and Oscar visited Sri Lanka, a paradise island filled with temples and white sandy beaches. Afterwards, they discovered Indonesia, where they explored numerous volcanoes and witnessed enchanting traditional dances. They then traveled to South Korea, where they discovered the modernity of Seoul and the beauty of ancient palaces. Their last destination of their Asian adventure was Saudi Arabia, where they were fascinated by the desert landscapes and impressive sand dunes. They encountered camels and participated in a traditional festival. After traveling through the countries of Asia, Leah and Oscar were filled with incredible memories. They returned to their forest, happy to share their adventures with the other animals. Leah understood that the world was vast and magnificent, and that cultural differences made the richness of our planet. And so, Leah the giraffe continued her adventures, always ready to discover new horizons and meet new people. The polar bear that dreamed in colors and saved the Arctic. Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom of ice, there was a polar bear cub named Neige. He was different from the other polar bear cubs because he dreamed in colors. While all his fellow Arctic companions saw only white and blue, Neige saw dazzling and vibrant landscapes. But one day he noticed that the Arctic was losing its magic. The icebergs were less majestic, the fish were becoming scarce, and even the northern lights seemed less bright. Neige was determined to set off on an adventure to discover why this was happening. He prepared a small bag with provisions and set off. He crossed frozen plains and snowy forests. The icy wind bit at his fur, but he bravely continued on his way. He soon arrived at a large glacier where he met Oki, a curious seal. Neige asked him if he knew why the Arctic was losing its magic. Oki then spoke to him about the climate changes caused by human activities. Snow was upset by this revelation. He understood that all humans had to take care of the Arctic to preserve its magic. He then decided to continue his journey to raise awareness among people about the situation. He later met a group of penguins who showed him the direction to a neighboring village. Snow soon arrived in the village, where he was welcomed by children who were fascinated by his fur. He told them his story and spoke to them about the importance of preserving the Arctic. The children were moved by his words and decided to help him. They organized a fundraiser to support Arctic preservation projects. Thanks to their determination, they raised enough money to finance climate research programs. Snow continued his adventure and discovered wonders of nature every day. He sneaked through the ice mountains, played with polar foxes, and danced with seals. The Arctic animals were so grateful for his efforts that they offered him precious artifacts, symbols of their love for their land. One day, while exploring an ice cave, Neige heard a strange sound. He approached slowly and discovered a young polar bear trapped in a crevasse. His name was Nuka, and he was the last of his family to live in this region of the Arctic. Neige started working to free him, using all the skills he had acquired during his journey. Finally free, Nuka thanked Neige and told him the story of his people. Long ago, polar bears lived in harmony with their environment. But over the years, the Arctic had lost its magic due to human negligence. Nuka told Neige that he was filled with gratitude for everything he had done, and that he couldn't think of a better guardian of the magic of the Arctic. Over time, Neige and Nuka helped raise further awareness among people about the protection of the Arctic. Together, they inspired so many individuals around the world with their incredible story. Finally, the Arctic began to regenerate. The ice became strong again. The animals regained their abundance, and magic once again invaded the frozen land. All thanks to the determination of Neige, the polar bear who dreamed in colors and decided to protect his home, the Arctic, with all his heart.
Marcel the sheep and Felix on a conquest of Paris in search of treasure and the happiness of friendship. Once upon a time, in a charming green meadow, there was a little sheep named Marcel. Marcel was just like any other sheep, but he dreamed of adventure and discovering new unknown lands. One fine day, Marcel decided that it was time for him to leave the meadow and embark on a quest to find his destiny. He knew he had to make his way to Paris, the city of lights. Marcel gathered up his courage and set off toward the French capital. He crossed vast expanses of blooming fields, passed by glistening streams, and even climbed a steep mountain. Nothing could stop Marcel in his pursuit. After a long walk, Marcel finally arrived in Paris. He was dazzled by the magnificent monuments that stretched before him. He then decided to stroll through the city to discover all the secrets it held. Throughout his wanderings, Marcel came across a cheerful band of pigeons who invited him to join them. Together they visited the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame Cathedral, and the Louvre Museum. Marcel felt increasingly amazed with each step he took in this city, so rich in history and culture. One day, while they were walking near the famous district of Le Marais, Marcel heard a cry for help coming from a dark alley. Without hesitation, he approached and discovered a black kitten trapped in a tree. Marcel, with his great strength, managed to free it, and the grateful kitten told him that its name was Felix. Felix told Marcel that he had been lost for several days after escaping from his adoptive family. He had no idea how to get back home, so the two friends decided to support each other in this quest. Marcel and Felix saw many wonders in Paris. They visited the Tuileries Garden, took a boat tour on the Seine, and strolled hand in paw on the Champs-Élysées. Marcel was happy to have found such a friendly travel companion. One day, as they were walking near the famous Notre Dame Cathedral, a pigeon flew over Marcel and Felix and enthusiastically announced to them that it had heard about a mysterious treasure hidden at the top of the Eiffel Tower. The two friends looked at each other and, without hesitation, decided to embark on the quest to find it. They slowly climbed the Eiffel Tower, bravely ascending the steps. After a long while, they finally reached the top and discovered the much sought-after treasure. It was composed of precious gemstones, gold coins, and sparkling jewels. Marcel and Felix were amazed by this incredible find. But instead of keeping the treasure for themselves, Marcel and Felix decided it was better to share it with the people of Paris. They organized a big celebration in the meadow where Marcel had grown up. All the animals from the region, as well as the pigeons and cats of Paris, came to celebrate this new friendship. Marcel felt so fulfilled and happy. Finally, Marcel had found what he had always been searching for in this incredible adventure in Paris: friendship and the joy of sharing. From now on, he was sure that no matter where he was, he had found his true place in this world. And so, Marcel the sheep, accompanied by his loyal friend Felix, continued to live extraordinary adventures throughout his life.